Hi, everybody. It's the show with Ron, and I wanted to come on and just chime in on what's going on in the United States right now. We have a really amazing, bizarre, and unprecedented situation here with the Democratic Party mostly turning on the sitting president, Biden, and trying to get him out of the race. And this is fascinating to me because if you've watched my channel, and I know none of you have because there's very few views, but if you had, you would know that I've talked a lot about this situation we have where the media sort of has backed up the claims of Biden that President Biden is not senile, that he is capable of fast thought and answering questions. And in fact, what they do is when people say, "Well, I've seen lots of videos, and he seems to be kind of out of it." The media reports that people are saying 81 is too high a number, and however, Trump is 78, so that's not too far apart. So Biden's fine, that sort of stuff. And in other cases, recently we saw where people that in the Democrats or their proxies were coming out and saying that the videos we saw of Biden being senile were fake videos when most of them were clearly not. So I found it a little surprising at how quickly everyone turned on Biden. I mean, I was accepting he was a little too old, and I'm not a Trump supporter. I wouldn't say I'm a Biden supporter. I think, like most people, we have a very poor choices this time around in the elections. So I was just surprised at how quickly or how shocked everyone the Democrats have kind of, I don't know if they're pretending to be shocked because this situation of how Biden is has been around for a long time. And I'm the first to call out when somebody makes a mistake on either side of the political equation. And Biden didn't do good in the debate, but I didn't think it was that terrible that it would cause the entire house of cards to fall. But apparently it has. I'm just stunned. So I thought we'd take a look at these headlines again, and we have the race still tied. You know, after the debate, some of the polls were showing Trump pulling ahead. Here, I mean, you can always find one poll that shows your guy doing good, and here in this case we have they're still tied, although the majority are calling for Biden to drop out. And what else do we have here? We have embattled Biden campaign tests Kamala Harris's strength versus Trump. And this is an interesting conundrum for the Trump campaign in that if they change candidates, and many people can say quite rightly, perhaps the vice president choice here, Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president, she may not be ready for prime time. If you remember, in the first 2 years of Biden's presidency, the media, the kind of left-leaning media, went very hard at her for her strange way of speaking. Kind of, she didn't seem like a real serious candidate. I saw some articles saying you can't say just because the Democrats said, or Biden said he would have to appoint a woman as his vice president, and then a woman is there, you can't claim that that's a diversity hire, or else you're a terrible bigot. But this is the person they put in that position. So here's a conundrum for the Trump campaign. She may be good at this point. Certainly, she's seen the criticisms about the way she speaks, her mannerisms, her laughing sometimes at inappropriate times. Right now, probably the Trump campaign is thinking they're sitting pretty because all the attention is on the shortcomings of Biden as opposed to Trump. I mean, who would have thought that you could get the media spotlight off of Trump? It's always how bad Trump is, and he's going to destroy democracy in the country, and suddenly it's all being focused on Biden. And I'm also shocked by Trump kind of shutting up mostly. Trump has a bad habit of being a blowhard, saying too much, and it is definitely a bully kind of attitude, or exaggerating things. And this time, as Biden is floundering, they've somehow got Trump to be disciplined and not say anything about it. Well, I probably should have started with this article. Angry and stunned Democrats blame Biden's closest advisors for shielding public from full extent of president's decline. We knew about it. We knew about it. It was just that this is some kind of political theater. People knew about it, and that was his senility was balanced against the danger to democracy that Trump represented. How funny it is that now they're acting surprised that we've just found out at how bad Biden's mental state is. If it is, I didn't even think that I mean, it wasn't a great debate, and you never want to trail off when you're saying something extemporaneously like that in a debate. But I didn't think it was horrible. I didn't think it would get this result. And again, in the last couple of videos I talked about, I mean, I do a lot from the perspective of how overseas see the United States, or how the United States sees overseas, other nations. And people overseas are not surprised at all because, see, they didn't have the U.S. media kind of running interference for Biden. A lot of the big media, I mean, CNN, New York Times, I pointed out exactly the articles where they were doing this, and that's a discredit to democracy too, when the news media runs interference for one party or another, even though they may feel that it is necessary. In World War II, we had the concept of you have propaganda, you call it propaganda. So it was like you had to propagandize the people that we had to go to war in World War II, and not be pacifists and say it's happening far away. And I'm sure a lot of people in the news media say, and we hear them say it, that Donald Trump is a danger to democracy, and we need to do this to prop up Biden, even though he may not be fully fit. So I feel a little sorry for Biden. I over all of this, the foolishness that he's been put in this position. And it is sort of foolish too that in the year where we're told everything is on the line, the democracy, we're going to have a dictatorship, that the person that's put up to prevent that is as weak a candidate ultimately as Biden. And then along with a vice presidential candidate who may have to replace him that may be weak as well. And what else do I want to say here? It's just a lot of surprising sort of situations here, because with this kind of sudden shock at how Biden performed, I think people were pretty aware of that in general beforehand. Here we have, this is mirroring my opinion that I said long ago, years ago. You've seen it in my videos. 63% of U.S. voters see Biden Trump as embarrassing. Most would replace them. And this is a sort of opinion that people in foreign countries have as well, again, in our political system. I think they had it, surprisingly enough, in 2016 when you have Hillary Clinton versus Trump. Hillary, a kind of personally unlikable character, although she was certainly ready to be president, seemed kind of fake, unsatisfying character, and a high negatives. You had the situation of the last 2020 election, Biden and Trump, and we got Biden Trump again. And people overseas say, well, the U.S. is the big power nation, the big innovative nation. What is this the best we can put forward to sort of, if not rule the world, manage the world, which the United States certainly does. And this is the situation we're in. Another aspect is, okay, someone brought this up. I couldn't find the article again, but it was the idea that if you throw Biden out at this point, he's already the presumptive nominee because we've already had voting, right? We've had all the primaries. They've been going on this year. We've talked about it in our past videos. So do the people who vote think that their vote means nothing? And the answer really is it doesn't really mean anything if we understand the nature of the U.S. primaries. The U.S. primaries are organized by the political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, and they can swap the order that the voting goes in to make sure a certain candidate gets into power. What's the proof of that? Many times it's happened. One of the best examples is this year. Normally, the Iowa caucuses, which are kind of a primary, they're the very first voting in the election cycle every year. And you have the Democrats and the Republicans. These caucuses are renowned for allowing an outsider candidate, it was probably a character, to take the wind out of the sails of the front runner. So the Republicans just held the caucus on the date it was scheduled. The Democrats, see, the party had decided that Biden was going to be the nominee before any voting happened, and they wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be any other candidate who sensed the weakness in Biden and would run against him and possibly knock the wind out of his sails right out of the gate. So the Democrats changed. They went through all this process here, and they changed the date. So it actually, there was mail-in voting and all this stuff. So the results would come in much later, and this would allow South Carolina to be the first primary and ensure, where Biden was strong, ensure he won that, and he would be the leader all the way throughout it. And it would make it difficult for anybody else to run against him as the incumbent. And then it made this Iowa caucus, it just fell in with the Super Tuesday, which is when a lot of different states have their primaries, and it reduced the importance of it. So this shows how the political parties in the United States, both the Republicans and the Democrats, they have control of the primaries, and the big wheels in the party can reorganize things to get the results that people in the back room have decided is the best candidate. And now, technically, the president is the leader of his party. So, but the people that were around him, they made sure that the primaries were gamed, so there was no chance that a challenger could rise up. And so now we have the case. If there's all this very intriguing stuff about having a mini primary, kind of a do-over. So if Biden steps aside and people are not sure about Kamala Harris, they may want Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. That state's kind of been made a shambles, maybe arguably under his tenure, but he's a good politician. He's a presidential type. He certainly could stand toe-to-toe with Trump in a debate. So what they would do is have this mini primary and kind of a do-over in different debates, etc., etc. And of course, that raises the question we just talked about, whether what about we've already had primaries and we've already had votes, and it sort of pulls back the curtain. We're allowed to peek behind the curtain and know that the way the voting occurs can be designed to create a certain result. And I don't know. I've always loved CNN, although they've certainly are not objective anymore. I remember back was it Bernard Shaw, all the coverage of the first Gulf War, the coverage of the fall of the Soviet Union, how wonderful it was to have that round-the-clock news coverage, which has kind of been overtaken by the internet. Now we expect to know everything that happens exactly when it happens. But I just scrolling down here, and you see how we get to a section where CNN underscored. Oh, what's that? It must be important because they've underscored it. Well, it's just ads. How about this? So right above it, we've been hearing about important stories about crime scene of rust and U.S. and Germany foiling assassination plot, historically hot summer, and then we just go down a little further and we get these sections. Here, how about this headline? Apple AirTags are great, but these 8 luggage trackers are just as effective, if not better. So what is this? Is this some kind of Consumer Reports? Well, no, they're just straight up advertisements with affiliate links. And it says up here at the top, content is created by CNN_'s team of editors who work independently from the CNN newsroom. When you buy through links on this site, we may earn a commission. I'm not even going to click learn more. They should just say this is probably paid for content. This is advertising on the CNN site. I know a lot of sites have done this for a lot of years. I used to enjoy boingboing.net. They were one of the earlier innovators of sticking ads in around. But it's funny a site like CNN throws all these things in here that look like news articles, in between news articles, and they don't really make it clear. It should be clear that it's an advertisement. But again, we've seen how the internet has squeezed the newsroom, almost putting them out of business. I guess they got to make money somehow. But yes, your dog can overheat in the summer. We tested the cooling mats for your pet to find the best one. So you'd think that's Consumer Reports, but no, it's just more ads right on the news page. And finally, I wanted to say we have Shelley Duvall here. Passed away. We know her from The Shining, most people these days. Nashville, Popeye, which I sort of always liked. And my connection, how far I go back, I was in a little movie called Frogs around 1990. It was the sequel to Frog, and Scott Grimes was the lead, and I was one of his friends. I don't have any lines in it, but I'm there. We're in a science fair, and I have one little comedy bit where I'm putting the molecules on. I'm making some kind of molecule or DNA chain, and I put the molecules on this rod, and then I take one off and I eat it, and it's revealed. See, it's chewing gum. So anyway, in the film, it's funny, but I remember in this, Shelley Duvall was in the film. She was fantastic, and Elliot Gould. And when you're a young kid in Hollywood and you're on the set and suddenly you look over and you're like, hey, there's Shelley Duvall. And hey, there's Elliot Gould. That's pretty darn cool. So rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. So that's the crazy news. And I would finally say about Biden, it has to be that he's finished. With George Clooney coming out, with Nancy Pelosi giving a sort of an indistinct a recommendation of him to decide whether he's going to get out or not. So I think that the powers that be are going to get him out. Whoops. So last thing, this is my book. There Are Still Unknown Places. It's about people who are traveling to far lands to find themselves, to lose themselves in the modern world of Bangkok, which combines both the exotic, the new, the ancient. I'd hope you'd read it. I think it presses on some of the themes of disillusionment you might hear in some of my videos here. So please, it's in Amazon, in some bookstores, and I don't. This is what I wanted to say. So for a long time, I can't really promote these videos because any promotion, it says these videos are election advertising. So I just wanted, I had some videos where I try to be very nonpartisan, and I kind of middle of the road, and I tried to and be fair, and I tried to make a video that just had the words Biden or Trump in them. Those I could not promote through either, and those were tagged as election advertising, and I couldn't find anything directly online. So I finally got through to somebody at YouTube and just specifically said, is it true that if the word Trump or Biden is spoken in a video, it is considered election advertising and cannot be promoted? And they said yes. So that's my answer. So please like and subscribe, and try to spread this video around. I'd love to get the channel going or talk to some of you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.